What more could you want? My name's Rob Barrett. You're watching Cooking for Dads. Today I'm going to show you how to make the Chocolate Babka, which of course I learned about from Seinfeld, season 5, The Dinner Party. They make great gifts. We're trying to make some Christmas gifts and give them away this year. And so we have some friends who are going to get chocolate babkas. Here's how you do it. I've tried to always have recipes that have very little measuring, are easy to follow, and don't have a lot of technique involved. This is not one of those. This is a really persnickety recipe that you have to kind of really follow along and do everything exact. So I'm going to show you how to do it. There's a good amount of measuring, I apologize, but it is worth it in the end. A couple things you're going to need for this recipe that are different from others. First of all, you're going to need unsalted butter, and you're going to need a stick and a quarter that are room temperature. So first thing you're going to do is pull those out and put them on like a countertop to warm up. The other thing you're going to need is a mixer, either a stand mixer like this or a hand mixer, because you can't get done with a fork, the stuff that we're going to need to do to mix together this dough for a long period of time. So we're going to start with this bowl. We're going to add 3/4 cup of milk that we've warmed up in the microwave. We're going to add a spoonful of sugar and 1 tablespoon of yeast. Give that a little stir. We're going to set this aside for 5 minutes. You want this to become foamy. If it doesn't get foamy, start again, because it's really important that this yeast wakes up and becomes activated. While this is getting activated, we're going to get our other ingredients together. We're going to get 2 eggs, no shells. And then we're going to separate 1 yolk out and add that. So 2 eggs and 1 yolk. Just toss it back and forth, get all that white off of there. There you go. 1 yolk, 1 spoonful vanilla, 1/2 cup of sugar. Here's the tricky one. 3/4 teaspoon of salt. 1/2 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon. Too much salt and your dough gets dried out. All right, our yeast is nice and foamy. We're going to start mixing it all together. We're going to start this on low just to combine it. Then we're going to add 1/2 cup of flour and let that combine. Should be on medium speed. Once that's all mixed together, we're going to add the eggs and sugar and vanilla. Okay, now we're going to add 2 3/4 cups of flour to this, 1/2 cup at a time. Let each cup mix for about 10 seconds before you add the next one. Two. 3. 1/4. Now we're going to add the butter 1 inch at a time. Make sure the previous addition is already mixed in before we add the next one. Let this continue to mix at medium speed for about a minute or 2 until you get nice long strings of dough sticking to the paddles. See those nice strings of dough that are coming off the sides and sticking to the paddle? Little webs? That's what we want. We are done. Scrape the excess dough off the beater back into the pan. We're going to put a couple drops of oil into a bowl, wipe it around, and put our dough in that. Cover this with plastic wrap Set it aside for 2 hours. Next, we're going to make our chocolate filling. You're going to need 8 ounces of a high quality chocolate. You can use chocolate chips if you want, or this is a pound bar that I'm going to break in half. We're going to have to chop it into small pieces and then make the filling. Put those in a bowl. Next, take a cup of cream. We're going to bring that to a boil. Okay, once that's boiling, pour that over the chocolate pieces. Just stir until everything is melted. All right, so it's all nice and melted. We're going to put it in the fridge and let it harden up. And I got nothing. I got to put it outside. All right, our dough is risen here for 2 hours. As you can tell, it's much bigger. This is much too sticky to roll out. There's no way. So we are going to put it in plastic wrap in the fridge overnight. First of all, we're going to cut it in half for as much good as that does. All right, so scoop this out. This is very sticky but delicate dough. Then get a bunch of plastic wrap. Oops. And we're going to kind of wrap it kind of like a little rectangle if we can. Seal up those sides. Kind of like a little rectangle. We're going to put that in the fridge overnight, or at least for 12 hours. Okay, we're going to do the other half. Scoop this all out. Now we're going to make our babkas. In the interest of full disclosure, I made this last night. That's because it needs to be in the refrigerator for 12 hours. Put some flour all over your countertop. Unwrap your babka dough. See how that comes off nicely? A little flour to the top and the bottom. We're going to roll out one large rectangle about 1/4 inch thick. Then we're going to take our ganache and spread that around. Nice thick layer. Give it about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch border all the way around, except at the bottom. You're going to need about a 1 inch border down there. Then you're going to start rolling from the edge farthest away from you. If it sticks to the countertop, you have to kind of scoop that up. There you go. You get a cookie sheet with parchment paper. We're just gonna flop it over. Make it into a ring, pinch together the seams, and there is our chocolate babka. Make sure your seam of the original roll is on the bottom. Do the same thing with the other half. Cover them with plastic wrap and let it sit for an hour. (350 degrees). Okay, these look great. They've risen nicely. We're going to hit them with a little egg wash. So I'm going to beat this egg with a fork and then brush any place that I can with the egg wash. Okay, put this in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes until it's just nicely golden brown. Holy moly. Well, this is what we call massive babka failure. I've made this like 6 or 7 times. I'm telling you this works, but the one time I make it for the episode, of course, one of them completely explodes, and this one explodes a little bit. So I'm not 100% sure why this happened. Possibly is because we went a lot slower. We're getting shots, and so the dough sat out a lot longer than it would have normally. Hopefully, we'll see if we can salvage this one. This one is a good gift for my mother-in-law, possibly, but hopefully this one will be okay, at least for a close neighbor or something like that. But I'm just letting you know, I've made this lots of times. I've never had this happen until this episode, but welcome to my world.
I've had a lot of babka, and I mean a lot of babka recently, but the babka fail is by far the best.
Okay, so I went ahead and made the babkas, the ones that we made the dough on the show, and they came out wonderfully, so you don't need to worry. It is good if you let them sit for 2 hours after you form them up, put them aside, cover them with plastic wrap, let them sit for 2 hours, and they are a yummy treat. So, I wouldn't lead you astray.